Welcome, Guardians. We have another TWAB, or should I say TWAS, because it's this week at Sony now. Ha, ha, ha. Get it? Ha, funny. February 3rd, 2022. This week at Bungie, we got a lot going on. Hello, and welcome to another installment of This Week at Bungie, our weekly source of news and chatter from around the studio. Nothing too wild happened this week, right? Just, your normal Monday announcement of Bungie joins Sony Interactive Entertainment, or SIE, as they'll discuss. Alright, well, okay. That is kind of a big deal. If you haven't heard much about it, well, we've joined Sony Interactive Entertainment. There's a lot to unpack here, and we highly recommend reading through our announcement article from Bungie CEO Pete Parsons and our Destiny 2, our shared vision article from the development team. Or you can watch the video on my channel. In the realm of Destiny 2, we don't expect you to notice much of a change in your day-to-day adventures as a Guardian. We aren't going to make Destiny 2 platform exclusive. We're committed to a Destiny that you can play on your platform of choice. And that has the same great game experience regardless of what device you are using. We're going to continue developing amazing new worlds for multiple platforms. We're more than excited about what potential this unlocks for us. If you haven't read the FAQ and our update from the dev team, please do so. With that said, what else is going on? Well, it's February for starters. We're less than 3 weeks away from the launch of Witch Queen. Did you see that we hit 1 million pre-orders? Did you hear that, Savathun? 1 million Guardians would like a word. We also had a kick-ass gear trailer go live on Tuesday. Have you seen it yet? Well, even if you have, we're going to embed the video right here for you to watch the carnage frame by frame, hunting for new info. That's over on their YouTube channel or Twitter as well. You may have noticed there was a quick little glimpse into weapon crafting at the top of the video. Well, let's take a moment to dig through it. No, not just the video, but crafting as a feature. After, we'll follow the TWAB tradition of digging into the nitty-gritty of sandbox balance patch notes in a quick preview. Just kidding, this TWAB is already over 6,000 words. There is nothing quick about it. Get your snacks, get your drinks. It's going to be a long one. Let's dig in. Welcome to the Enclave. Savathun is building an army of hive. These aren't just ordinary hive, mind you. They've become the Lucent Brood. How could this happen? What will the Vanguard do as we begin to question the line between light and dark? As you begin to unravel the mystery and battle the Witch Queen's brood, you'll discover the Enclave. This will be your destination for weapon crafting. Crafting a legendary weapon from scratch isn't a simple matter. Finding patterns, think weapon blueprints, collecting materials, and building your weapon is the starting point. After crafting your tool of destruction, wow, I can't say that, you'll begin to unlock its full potential through combat. Beginning your quest to craft. Early in the Witch Queen campaign, you'll be given an introductory quest that runs you through the ins and outs of crafting. In the first and second missions of the Witch Queen, free to all players, Guardians will uncover the deep sight ability and be introduced to the Enclave, as they have that image here. This is where you'll begin to shape your first glaive, a brand new weapon archetype being introduced in the Witch Queen. All of the necessary materials will be provided for your first crafted weapon, but you'll also be given a short tutorial on how to use those materials, or how to find those, for future crafting. A subset of weapons and archetypes will be craftable from the start, but more will be added in the future. Good to know that this isn't just like a Witch Queen, like one and done sort of thing. In order to shape your future tools of destruction, you'll need to do a little bit of research first. Patterns are your first requirement. Some will be acquired through quest completions, while others can be earned by completing various gameplay objectives. Once you've earned your desired pattern, it can be crafted at any time with the required materials. Now, it's all about the mixings. Nice little image here of what to look at. Looks like the blueprint is pretty much a weapon icon, just without a colored background, so just kind of a dark black, which kind of makes sense. But no real interesting information there outside of that. But after reaching the Enclave and crafting your first glaive, randomly rolled weapons throughout the game have a chance to drop with a new ability, Deep Sight Resonance. This will be used as you begin to target specific traits to craft. As an example, you'll find a Deep Sight Resonance legendary auto rifle with Rampage perk. You can complete the objective and extract the essence of the perk to then craft a weapon with Rampage, or another perk that increases damage. So we have another image here, Titan. So it looks like the items that have that are going to have a red border around it. And then when it's finished, it's going to have an exclamation mark down in the bottom right corner of that icon. But we did get the first look at the seasonal artifact, which kind of looks like a glaive handle to me, and a ghost shell, which kind of looks like a shrieker in a sense, with some extra little tidbits on it. But we continue. Another image here showing that in order to get that deep sight resonance, you have to use it pretty much, which is great. So use this weapon in combat or to complete activities in order to attune to this resonance and extract materials useful for shaping weapons. I love that you actually have to use the gun to get it. Once it's done, it goes from the red border into the red border with the exclamation mark. That seems pretty simple so far. We'll see how that works in gameplay a little bit more. But we continue into the post. Like current weapons, not every weapon pattern will be compatible with every trait. But you'll have a good list of traits to mix and match as you customize a given weapon to your desired specifications. It doesn't stop there, though. Through the Enclave, you'll also be able to kick things up a notch and enhance your traits to strengthen their flavor. Leveling your weapons and enhanced traits. Once a weapon is crafted, Guardians may begin to increase its level by using it in activities and by defeating enemies. This is where the bulk of your crafting playtime will be. The more you use your weapon, the faster you'll unlock its full potential. I'm so happy that this is back. I've wanted this for so long. Being able to upgrade the weapon through use instead of just being handed a weapon that's fully usable. Enhanced stats and traits can be unlocked when reaching higher levels, granting slight bonuses to your weapon's capabilities. Our goal through the system is to give players a reason to invest in their weapons, far beyond what masterworking could offer in the past. Each weapon now acts as a long-tail pursuit as you look to make your freshly crafted weapon the best it can be. So, from what I can tell here, you have like a frame, kind of like a masterwork capability, and as you rank up that level, the more, the better boost it gets. This one, obviously, we'll have to see how that plays into if it's just kind of that masterworking ability that gets that, or if it's like the other items perks as well. Super excited. I think that's the most excited thing I am worried about in terms of weapon crafting. But continuing, it can be intimidating to start making decisions on how to build your weapon. So we're also giving you the ability to reshape your crafted weapons in the Enclave. If you want to mix up the components of your weapons after you finish crafting them, you can switch up what barrels, mags, or traits you choose so you don't feel like you got locked down one path forever. I don't know how I feel about that a whole lot. It makes sense. I hope you can't just go in and switch it willy-nilly, that you still have to use some sort of material to do so. As Guardians begin to embrace this new system, you'll begin to see new legends rise. Some will prefer Hawkeye and other foundries. Others may dabble in new weapons from Redacted. We're excited to see which weapons you embrace. Mementos. While the majority of your crafting experience will be dedicated to mixing, matching, and enhancing traits, there is also an opportunity for a bit of customization when it comes to appearances and activity-specific trackers. At launch, one weapon memento will become available for players to earn through Gambit, unlocking a Gambit-themed appearance and tracker. Ranking up your weapon to max level, head back to the Enclave and apply your freshly earned memento for some sweet flair. So, pretty much legendary ornaments again. I'm interested in seeing what this tracker actually does. If it's just an aspect of how many wins, how many kills in that activity, don't know if that's really worth it. I think it's going to be more of the appearance side that people will like. More of these will come online through Trials of Osiris and Grand Master Nightfalls. We have more plans for mementos down the line and are excited to introduce a new endgame rarity cosmetic items for players to chase as they build out their new arsenal of weaponry. That'll be really cool. Exotic crafting. This one was a little nervous at the beginning. Legendary weapons aren't the only thing that you'll be able to craft. The upcoming Osteo Striga exotic SMG and the 3 class-unique exotic glaives can also be crafted through the Enclave, once you find the respective patterns, of course. While legendary weapons can be crafted from the ground up, exotic crafting is more about fine-tuning something with a defined identity. You may have the opportunity to customize things like barrels or stocks while preserving the exotic look and feel. Looking for a longer range profile for the weapon, or opting to shred through your enemy up and close and personal. Through the Enclave, you can do just that. I don't like it. I still don't like it reading through it. Like, exotics are about a specific identity. Why would you allow us to change it? Legendaries, all for it. Exotics, not a fan. Maybe once I get my hands on it, that might change, but I just feel like it kind of ruins the aspect of an exotic weapon. But, alright folks, we're at the end of our weapon crafting preview. Will you have questions? Undoubtedly. Launch day of the Witch Queen is just around the corner, and we're excited to see what weapons you create. Don't worry, we aren't done with the TWAB just yet, not even close. We still have some exciting news regarding weapons to cover. Let's talk tuning. Tuning up, tuning down, tuning all around. Crafting is going to introduce an entirely new way to invest in a given weapon. When hunting for your new favorites, it's not just about looks, but about the feels. Weapons feature lead Chris Proctor is on deck to walk through some changes coming to weapons, perks, and archetypes in the Witch Queen. The team has been working hard over the last few months to bring this to life, and we've got a whole hell of a lot to cover. If you're new to... Hi, Max again. If you're new to the Destiny sandbox or aren't too deep in the terminology and know-how, this can be a lot to process at first glance. While we know a few of our sandbox-minded community members will break this down through YouTube videos and write-ups, there's no shame in skimming this. Sandbox is about the feel, and you'll be getting your hands on these changes when the Witch Queen launches. If you're brave enough to take on the challenge of reading this in full, take it slow, grab some water, maybe a little snack too. Hey, I said that earlier. Alright, let's get into it. Take it away, Proctor. From Pinnacle to Pursuit weapons. When Pinnacle weapons were introduced, they were tuned and presented as being best-in-class weapons to act as rewards for players dedicated to a particular activity. They excited and motivated players, but they were expensive to build for legendary weapons, and had some undesirable side effects, such as PvP Pinnacle weapons becoming mandatory in PvE, Recluse and Mountaintop, or becoming incredibly unpleasant to play against, or so strong that no other weapons in the class could compete in PvE. Mountaintop and Not Forgotten. When we moved away from Pinnacle weapons, we didn't go into much detail, so we'd like to take a moment to clarify the move, like 5 years later, and also introduce the Pursuit weapon for next season. So is it no longer ritual weapons and it's Pursuit weapon? Can we get a dedicated name for these, please? The intent, as of Season 12, is that a Pursuit weapon should be a solid weapon. Roughly 70% of a god role is in its archetype, with perk options that work well in PvP and PvE, which can be reliably obtained without a huge grind. These should act as good starter weapons for both PvP and PvE, while leaving space for weapons from Pinnacle activities like Trials, Raids, and Nightfalls to exceed this potential. We generally ship a similar weapon with higher potential in the same season. Interesting. Note, Salvenger's Salvo basically ignores the guideline. Oops. But we really wanted to put chain reaction on a special ammo weapon. We don't currently see a reason to touch it. Chain reaction is going to be a rare one on special weapons, though, which makes sense because of what it is. Here's a quick breakdown on how each Pursuit weapon since Season 12 compares to the random rolled options currently in the game. Adored is a good sniper rifle, but better sniper rifles shipped alongside it or since. The Salvager Salvo Breach Grenade Launcher is a great room clearing weapon, but it doesn't have the utility of blinding nades or auto-loading holster, so other legendary grenade launchers, such as Truth Teller or Ignition Code, often take its place in the hardest content. Dull Composure is an excellent fusion rifle, and even more so in the season after it shipped, and brought back the Reserve Burst perk, but the Plug 1.1 and Glacioclasm can get the Reservoir Burst, and Cartesian Coordinate has better options for DPS. The Ascendant Rocket Launcher brought back the Explosive Light perk, but Hothead can also get this, and it has other good perk options. And with that, let's look at the Reckless Endangerment Pursuit Shotgun. This weapon is coming in the Season 16, and it introduces the new Steady Hands perk for massive handling boost after a kill, plus Snapshot. There are several other shotguns in this release with more sought-after PvP and PvE perks. This is, now that they've really, laid it out on the line, this is such an interesting choice to go with it. At this point, even why? Why have this pursuit weapon if there's going to be stuff that's better than it? Sure, you don't want it on the level that Recluse and Mountaintop was, but it feels like these just get a little bit swept under the rug. Adored, haven't seen anybody use it. Ascendancy, here and there. I see mostly Composure and Salvo just because of they're better. Hopefully this one doesn't get kind of swept under the rug, because I feel like if it does, they just might as well not even worry about making them anymore. But we move into something new called origin traits. We've been talking about the difficulty of making different weapons of the same type feel unique for years at this point. And then the Witch Queen, we're doing something about it. Every weapon that's new or returning in the Witch Queen will have an origin trait, determined by its source in a third trait column. Maybe this is why they got rid of the orb aspect on masterworking, probably. All new legendary weapons and all returning Trials, Iron Banner, and Nightfall weapons. Origin traits will only appear on new drops of a weapon. They won't be retroactively added to the old drops. That kinda sucks if you have a god roll. But these traits vary in effect, but the guideline is that they either have high uptime or medium power effects, or low uptime and high power. There are 14 origin traits in total shipping in the Witch Queen in Season 16, and we expect to ship around 3 new ones each season after Season 16. For example, 1 for Season 17, 1 for the raid or dungeon, and 1 for the seasonal event, until we have 1 of each event. Interesting. But we refresh old weapons from a given source, for example, an existing raid or old pool of seasonal weapons. We may create new origin traits at the same time. Here are some examples. Trials of Osiris. Alacrity? I don't know. Just going with it. Gain increased reload, stability, aim assist, and range when you're the last living member of your fire team or running solo. Plus 20 reload, plus 20 stability, and plus 10 aim assist, and plus 10 range. Solo includes solo lost sectors and rumble, for example. Oh, that's actually kind of nice that it works in lost sectors. Nightfall Strikes. Stunning recovery. Stunning a champion partially refills your magazine, triggers health regeneration, and improves recovery for a short duration. Grants 60 health instantly and plus 40 recovery for 30 seconds. That one's going to be huge in GMs, I feel. Bows I don't think will really help a whole lot, but that'll be big. Crucible. One quiet moment. Grants increased reload speed when out of combat. Plus 40 reload stat when out of combat. Having dealt or received damage in 4 seconds. I love when they tell us those little tidbits of when it works. Strikes. Vanguard Vindication. Final blows with this weapon grant a small amount of health. Small equals 7 health. That might be a little overpowered. Don't know how much health we actually have, but overpowered I feel. Anytime it makes sense, due to the source activity, a weapon will have multiple origin traits selectable. For example, Nightfall weapons can select between Nightfall and Vanguard traits. Trials of Osiris weapons can select between Trials and Crucible traits. The Pursuit weapon can select between the Gambit, Vanguard, and Crucible traits, since it can be acquired from any of these activities. I feel like that's the only main perk that you have for going after the Pursuit weapon. But what do I know? One other case. See below. Weapon foundries. They're doing something finally with these. Guardian. There was something I wanted to tell you. What was it? Banshee scratches his forehead. Oh yeah, guns. I was cleaning out that locker back there. Banshee motions to a dust-caked storage container. Found a couple things you might be interested in. The Exo reaches into a crate next to him and pulls out a glistening Fugu 55 sniper rifle. A stack of shiny new Suros weapons, manufactured for the Red War by the looks of them. Here he peers down the sights of the rifle. Been years since I held the new Suros. Good balance, solid craftsmanship. This is damn fine work. Banshee stares off wistfully, seems to have forgotten you're there. His eyes snap back at you. What was I going to tell you? Ah, right, guns. Banshee uncrates more weapons in mint condition. These were earmarked for Zavala, Drifter, and Shax. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll let you play with them. There's a lot more where that came from. Banshee gestured to a whole stack of crates swimming in a cloud of dust. Hand cannons, pulse rifles, Amalon, Hawkeye, Vest. You're going to have a ball. In Season 16, we're replacing the world loot pool with 12 new weapons in the style of the Destiny 2 Year 1 Foundry sets. 3 weapons each from the Suros, Amalon, and Hawkeye and Viced Foundries, plus 1 Foundry weapon each for Vanguard, Gambit, and Crucible. Pictured here is a handful of weapons you'll find in the Legendary Engrams on February 22nd. Not all are pictures, or not all pictured. So it looks like we have a Hawkeye Pulse, Hawkeye Shotgun. We have a Viced, probably Auto, Amalon Scout, and then Suros Hand Cannon and Sniper. Honestly, I've never really been a huge fan of these guys. I like the out there ones, but we'll continue because they have each weapon will come with a Foundry orange trait themed around their Foundry's personality. When did Destiny 1 come out? 2014. How many years is that? 8 years. We're finally being able to take advantage of the Foundries. This is huge. Digging into it, Suros Synergy. Reloading grants this weapon's both bonus handling and reduces incoming flinch for a short time. Plus 40 handling, 20% flinch resistance for 20 seconds after reloading. Hawkeye has Hawkeye Breach Armaments. This weapon deals increased damage against vehicles, turrets, barricades, and stasis crystals. Turrets does include stasis turrets, plus 15 to vehicles, 30 plus to structures and turrets. Interesting. Cool, but interesting. Amalon Fluid Dynamics. This weapon has increased reload speed and stability for the top half of the magazine. Stability is max at plus 20, reload is max at plus 30, and reduces as the magazine gets lower. Viced Stinger. Chance on damage to partially refill this weapon's magazine. Feels a little weaker, but I feel like that's going to be actually really nice. It's kind of like Subsidence in a chance, or in a way, but more unique. In addition to the Foundry Origin trait, each Foundry weapons perk pool lean into that Foundry's identity. Big damage for Hawkeye, consistency for Suros, ability tie-ins, and weird stuff for Amalon, and never stop firing for Viced. Viced? I don't know. This makes me so happy. Upcoming Vanguard Shotgun, Crucible Hand Cannon, and the Gambit Auto Rifle. Pictured here, these are going to be those playlist activity specific ones. Shotgun literally looks like last in, last out, or whatever that is, just reskinned. Gambit is pretty much the Hawkeye Auto Rifle from Year 1, reskinned. And it looks like the Crucible is actually maybe a blue that got moved up to a legendary, which is fine by me. Moving right along, Foundry weapons that drop from a source outside of the world pool can switch between the Foundry trait and that source's trait. This doesn't apply that Foundry weapons will be common outside the world pool. Interesting. For example, a roll on the new Gambit Hawkeye High Impact Auto Rifle, Heroid Z, might look like this. Corkscrew rifling and polygonal rifling, armor-piercing rounds and flared magwell, perpetual motion, focus fire, invader tracker. What is that? Gambit Origin trait, Hawkeye Breach Armaments, Hawkeye Origin trait, kill tracker, see below, range masterwork. Does that mean? So this tracker that you get with Origin trait, does that mean you can track an invader when it's in? That's huge. I've been wanting that because it's bullshit that they can track us, but we can't track them. We haven't brought back all of your favorite Foundry weapon types, but don't worry yet. You can expect to see weapon Foundries receive new additions each season in the year following the Witch Queen, with some fun surprises thrown in later in the year. Yo, fun surprises? That better be Black Armory. Better not be forgetting about them. Ada, come on back. I mean, we have her, but you know what I mean. Global. Alright, so this is where the fun begins. The rest of this section will be more of a patch notes preview feel. Lots of bullets, not a lot of pictures. Still have that snack and water handy. Feel free to take a moment and get a refill. I'm going to take a sip here while we take a quick break. So we do this one shot, baby. Kill trackers were once one reason to masterwork a weapon. But we now see no reason to gate these behind masterworking. Oh, fucking hallelujah. They'll be present by default on all weapons that shipped in Forsaken and later. Exotic weapons prior to Forsaken will be updated in a later release. Yes, this means masterworking should no longer be seen as mandatory. And we expect the plus 10 to a weapon stat or plus 10 to a primary stat and plus 3 to other stats for adepts to only matter. Hi, Max, again. Should only matter to dedicated PvP players. That's interesting. We have no specific plans for changing masterworking at this stage, but we will revisit it later. Note that they did discuss gating the origin trait behind masterworking, but ultimately this wouldn't have achieved the goal of weapon, differentiation on non-masterwork weapons. I agree. Honestly, I feel like masterworking in that case should probably be lowered. We only need to possibly masterwork it to 5 instead of 10, since it's not going to be a big deal for it anymore. Like, why kind of gatekeep that? Max is not having a good time tonight. My God. Following in the Armor's team's footsteps, weapon mods for legendary weapons are now free and instant to insert. Max, please, my God. We believe that many pain points around special weapons in Crucible are exacerbated by how easy it is currently to acquire special ammo, and we've touched on this in the past, and we're making a further adjustment now. Players now drop only 1 special ammo on death or equivalent, no matter how much they were carrying, as long as they weren't completely empty. That's nice. The maximum you can pick up off a special brick is 1 for a shotgun, fusion rifle, or sniper rifle, or equivalent for other weapons. Scavenger mods add to this as normal, but we'll be evaluating their plays in Crucible in the near future. Players quickly found another way to execute the quick swap glitch, so we've fixed another animation. Cancel. Nice. Archetypes. Really nitty-gritty stuff. In Season 15, Fusion Rifle rework had a lot of moving parts. Rapid fire, precision, and adaptive fusions came out of this different, but all quite strong, but high-impact fusions were hurting. We've definitely seen all Fusion Rifle subfamilies occupy different roles and wanted to maintain the large differences in charge time to keep these distinct for now. So, we're nudging damage up to make it easier for those to land kills at range and PvP. Oh dear lord, no. And we're bumping the PvE damage scaler. That said, we'll keep an eye on how they're doing and may adjust charge time down a smidge in the future release. They already have range, so why make it easier to kill at range with damage? Increased high-impact fusion rifle damage per bolt from 62 to 64. This doesn't seem a lot, but it allows more rolls to cross bolts to kill thresholds. Increased high-impact fusion rifle PvE damage bonus from 15% to 20%. I wish they kind of give a quick update of to what was a high-impact fusion that we might have been using. We like that the crowd control capabilities of breach grenade launches in PvE have taken off, but as it stands, there isn't a meaningful trade-off for the added utility that blinding or concussion nades give you. And it's unreasonable that a way to really annoy other players in PvP can also one-shot them. Yeah, reduce blinding and concussion grenade damage by 25%. That seems like a big blow. Rocket launcher subfamilies have lacked meaningful differences for a while now, and their free tracking precisions are flat out better. So, we're pushing them further apart by adjusting damage. We may take a deep look at rocket launchers later. Please do, they really need it. Damage adjustment by subfamilies. Precision is 0.95% times. High impact is 1.0. Adaptive is 1.05. And aggressive is 1.05. We took a big swing at sniper rifle aim assist based on zoom and beyond light. And I've seen this play out or revisiting the tuning on the zoom-based AA scaling. Low zoom snipers got more of an aim assist, AA, reduction than they needed, and high zoom snipers are getting some pretty silly headshots now. Reduced variance in AA scaling between low 35 zoom and high zoom 60 zoom sniper rifles. Cone angle scalar increased by 25% on low zoom and reduced to 9% on high zoom. Pulse rifles take slightly longer to kill red bar enemies in PvE. We are buffing their damage versus miners by 10%. But if you want exotic pulse rifles to feel better at this, just keep reading. Can Crimson play into this, please? Because I would love Crimson. Exotic weapons. Exotic primary weapons and trace rifles aren't sufficiently stronger than legendaries for them to be worth bringing into hard PvE content, particularly against miners. Note that this change applies to all exotics that use primary ammo and includes most secondary effects, like perk-triggered explosions. Increased damage versus miners in PvE by 40%. Huge. With that pulse rifle buff, Graviton Land's looking real good right now. And, true point here, Chaperone is a terror in PvP, particularly with the nerf to pellet shotguns and the reduced frequency of grenade and melee abilities, and it outperforms some weapons that ought to be good counters to it. For example, sidearms and some machine guns. Reduced passive range buff from 2 meters to 0.5 meters. Yeesh. Duality is in a similar place to Chaperone, but it's not quite as rangy. On the other hand, its exotic trait shipped with the constraint that it would wipe on reload to make it harder to chain. Having seen it in action for a while now, we don't think that limitation needs to be there. Reduced passive range buff in a slug mode, i.e. when aiming down sights, from 1.25 meters to 0.5, pellet mode unaffected. The on black wings damage buff no longer clears on reload. That would probably be very fun to mess around with in PvE. Not kidding. Teraba is extremely strong as it is, but it currently demands complete commitment with no weapon switching. This constraint is a bit harsher than it needs to be, so we've loosened it without removing it entirely. Also, while the duration extension when damaging players did actually function in PvP, it was so subtle that players kept reporting that it was bugged, so we bumped them up. Now it reduces perk progress by half instead of clearing it on weapon style. Interesting choice. Increased Ravenous Beast duration increases for damaging a player slightly. Ruinous Effigy has been overdue for a look at its Beyond Light nerf, the nerf to damage dealt while guarding, so we're rolling it back. Note that the other part of the nerf was to the airborne standard melee attack, and this hasn't been touched. Increase the damage dealt by guarding with a transmutation sphere by 66%, 30% against players. Note, the transmutation sphere multi-kills now count for orb generation armor mods. Previously, only kills with the beam would trigger this. Interesting. Nice, I guess. Lumina stats just don't compare to the other 140 RPM adaptive hand cannons, and its usage reflects that. So we're updating these alongside some of the legendary hand cannons that also used to be 150 RPM. See below. Increased range stat from 44 to 59. Increased base stability stat from 46 to 56. And sorry, Thorn fans, Thorn is already strong and popular, and a similar buff would turn it into a monster in PvP. True, but I feel like it needs a little bit of work in PvE. So, we'll see. Aegir Scepter's up next. That initial implementation used super regeneration scalars, which had very weird effects in activities that also had scalars. So, I've honestly never even used the super thing on it. So we've rebuilt it to turn off regeneration while active and have implemented a slower drain using a different method. Fixed being able to activate or continue using empowered mode while suppressed or stasis encased. Rebuilt the perk. Used to modify supercharge rate. Now freezes super recharge and deducts super directly, fixing several issues with activities that change charge rate and outliers for recharge based on intellect stacked. Super should now drain more slowly while empowered. I guess that's good. Dead Man's Tail feels good to use on both mouse and keyboard and controller now. We don't want to go back to that feeling unreliable, but it's too good at spamming hipfire shots at long range as it stands. Yes, it does. Reduce the catalyst hipfire rate from fire from 150 to 130. I'm starting to get tongue twisted a lot during this. I apologize. Blowgun's driver and arbalist remain fairly hard to counter in PvP. That they are. One common complaint is how easily they can shoot through flinch. We'll be keeping an eye on these moving forward and have another change planned if needed. Increased flinch received. Did that with snipers and it didn't go well. Forerunner's ammo economy was fairly conservative when we shipped the 30th anniversary, but having seen how it's used in PvP, we believe it would benefit from gaining a little more ammo per special brick. Increased ammo picked up from a special ammo brick from 2 to 3 and from 4 to 5 with a scavenger mod. Legendary weapons. Several legendary weapons have out of band stats, either to their benefit, detriment, or a bit of both. When infusion caps were still around, this was okay because they'd cycle out eventually. But now the weapons remain viable in all activities indefinitely, and the solution is to adjust outliers to be in the band, as mentioned in the February 2021 State of the Game. Hand cannons. The ban for legendary 140 RPM hand cannons aim assist ends at 84, and this extreme should be for a hand cannon from a pinnacle activity like a raid or trials. But when 150s were converted to 140s, many of their stats were either too low or too high. We're adjusting the stats of these to be within the standard ranges, up or down, as follows, an overall buff in most cases. Dire Promise was plus 4 range, plus 3 stability, minus 4 aim assist. Waking Vigil, plus 6 range, plus 5 stability, and minus 3 aim assist. These next two are weird, because they're sunset. So why are they changing it? Yeah, you can use it in like 1100 or what will be 1350 content, I assume. But why? It's not worth it. Why work on these unless they're going to use spare rations? They're coming back. Jack, Queen, King, 3, plus 3 range, plus 3 stability, minus 8 aim assist. Spare rations is plus 4 range, plus 4 stability, and minus 9 aim assist. Felwinter's Lie intrinsic perk makes it far too consistent and lethal compared to similar shotguns. And it's had plenty of time to shine. Yes, it has. Plus 15% spread angle, so those pellets are just going to spread more, so it won't get hit as easily, which is great. Most of the Ikelos SMG stats were widely out of band for an aggressive SMG, but it does suffer from having a low zoom compared to other popular options. Plus 1 zoom, minus 5 range, minus 7 stability, minus 8 handling, and minus 5 aim assist. Holy shit, that just got killed. Typically, we don't adjust base stats on specific weapons at all post-ship, so we don't intend to do this regularly. I was like, yeah, they went really ham on like specific ones. Moving into perks. So, we want players to be able to choose to build into hip firing more easily, so we're adjusting the hip fire grip perk to support this. Now increases damage fall off start and end at distances by 20%. Except on shotgun, sniper rifle, fusion rifle, and last word. It will not get this update. Adagio often felt like it changed a weapon's subfamily to the next lowest rate of fire, but worse, particularly when comparing damage fall off. Increased duration from 5 seconds to 7 seconds. Increased damage bonus except on bows and fusion rifles from 25% to 30%. Now adds plus 10 range stat. Added a timer to the buff text to make it easier to tell when it's going to expire. Why can't all of these have that timer? Sorry, timers make it easy. Dual loader is okay on paper, but in practice that reload speed is pretty painful. Reduced reload stat penalty from minus 50 to minus 35. That might actually be a really good one now. Danger Zone felt pretty risky to use in some cases, resulting in a lot of self-damage. Reduced self-damage scaler for grenade launchers combined with the other scalars. This ends up reducing self-damage from 1.25 to 0.75. Tap the Trigger is the most meta-breaking perk on a particular fusion rifle. Don't even know what they're talking about. When stacked with other elements of this role, it makes fusion rifles much too stable. So much that we believe that we stopped putting it on fusion rifles, and then Squidface sold it a few times. That asshole. With this change, we believe it's still quite a strong perk without being overpowered, so it's likely to appear on future fusion rifles. Note, we did try reducing stability from plus 40 to plus 20, but in playtest the difference wasn't perceptible. On fusion rifles only, reduced stability bonus from plus 40 to plus 10, changed max recoil angle scale from 0.5 to 0.875, and then changed error angle scale from 0.9 to 0.975. Unchanged on all the other weapons. Headseeker didn't work as intended on aggressive burst pulse rifles because the buff's duration was too short. Sacred Providence is the only viable pulse rifle that benefits from this in Season 16, although there is such a pulse in this season. Doesn't roll with Headseeker, but expect to see more in future seasons. Why say that? That's such an odd way to be like, hey, there's a pulse coming. Why put it in that? I mean, okay. Extended buff duration from 0.17 to 0.3 seconds. Yo, we're talking about Eager Edge now. It's a lot of fun to use, but it can be used to do some mind-blowing, environment-breaking things if used in particular ways while airborne. While the tuning below isn't meant to remove the fun factor, we have a fresh raid and other fun content coming with the Witch Queen, and we want to ensure we retain challenge behind our upcoming rewards. Breaking out of maps can be fun indeed, but can easily remove the prestige and value of a given item or experience. Reduced lunge distance benefit while airborne by 25%, now caps maximum player airborne velocity to a fairly high value while active. Or, don't have that available to get to in that same map. And if you do, make it so far away that they can't get to it. Occasionally, we'll shelve perks because they're not working for some reason, too weak, too strong. This means we won't put them on weapons in the future unless we change the perk. In many cases, we'd rather put design work into new perks than old ones, but there's a whole perks section here. Anyway, these perks were shelved, and some been shelved for a while. Bottomless Grief and Celerity both were attempts to inject some uniqueness into Trials of Osiris and Nightfall weapons, which we're now doing with origin traits. Okay, so those are gone. Underdog, Shield Disorient. I don't even know what Underdog is. Shield Disorient, I barely remember. Air Assault. Though note, this may get a redesign in a future season. I don't think I've ever heard of Air Assault. But we're going to move into the near future here. We are getting close to the end here. In Season 17, we'll have a set of PvP-focused weapon changes, including new ways for players to build for flitch resistance. That will be huge, maybe mods, I'm assuming. Balance tuning for primary weapons, looking at you, pulse rifles, lightweights in particular. Special weapon tuning. Snapshot feeling mandatory on sniper rifles and PvP. Other balance changes. Another PvP special ammo economy change if needed. Adjusting how zoom outliers, both low and high, affect the performance of a subset of weapons, i.e. the scope column shouldn't be the most important thing on a weapon. This could take various forms, but the intent is to bring both high and low outliers towards the average, to the overall benefit of the weapon archetype. We're also adjusting several much requested exotics along with legendary perks. I love getting the in the near future aspect, so they know that, or we know that they're listening. Cheers to Proctor and the team for that massive info dump. We'll have a full roundup of patch notes on February 22nd when the Witch Queen goes live. I'm not doing a video for that patch notes. One, going to be way too long. It's going to be pretty much the exact same thing I just read. Two, I got the Witch Queen to play, baby. Moving on, Year of the Tiger. So we've covered what's coming to Destiny with the Witch Queen in Season 16, and a little bit of what's beyond. What's going on right now? Well, we have a celebration of the Lunar New Year. Some of you may have already noticed, but Eververse has been filled with some wonderful new items. Got an emote, a ghost shell, a ship, and a sparrow. These items will be available through next Tuesday reset, February 8th to 10 a.m. Pacific, so snag them if they've caught your eye. We've also have a few items from last year available for Bright Test if you'd like to join in on the celebration. Wait a second. Isn't reset 9 a.m. Pacific? Because it's noon Eastern. When does daylight savings time happen? I'm so confused right now. I'll have to look into that. I think this is the biggest piece of information for anybody that is watching Witch Queen that is still through this video, because we've been 45 minutes into it. Probably could have read this a lot quicker on your own time, but I appreciate you guys still being here. Train ain't stopping yet, that's for damn sure. So, pre-launch, downtime, and preload. This, oh my god, that's how they're going to do it. So this happened last year with Beyond Light, where they take the servers offline, usually the night before release. So, but with that, we also had a little cutscene before the servers went down, and from what I can tell, that might be when we take the worm out of Savathûn. I wouldn't be surprised, but continuing. To prepare for the launch of the Witch Queen on February 22nd, Destiny 2 will undergo scheduled downtime from 7 p.m. Pacific on February 22nd to 9 a.m. Pacific on February 22nd. Helpful little DMG note here. As this TWAB is running pretty long, we'll do the math for you. That's 14 hours of downtime. We hope you can use this time to get some sleep, prep some tasty food, or do whatever your heart desires before diving into the Witch Queen. With the announcement of 1 million Guardians already having pre-ordered, we're expecting a bit of a queue as things open up. Please stay tuned for additional details, and please, for the love of God, don't get pissed if there's a queue. Don't go off running over to Twitter or Reddit and be like, wow, this game sucks, there's a queue. It's a queue every release. This is their biggest one they're doing. Bear with them, please. Preload for the Witch Queen is planned to become available on all platforms on 9 p.m. Pacific on February 22nd. Stay tuned for further updates as we get closer to launch. If you plan on playing at launch or that day, please do that preload. You're going to save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. You can download it, have it ready to go tomorrow or the next tomorrow. I wish it was tomorrow. The next day, load up the game, wait in your queue, you'd be good to go. Shattered Realm. With the end of the season approaching, the Shattered Realm seasonal activity has been updated to a daily rotation from a weekly rotation. Players who wish to complete Triumph seasonal challenges or seals associated with the Shattered Realm should make sure to do so prior to its removal with the launch of the Witch Queen on February 22nd. GM Nightfall catch-up node clarification. This past week, the next week in Destiny logon message incorrectly indicated that the Grandmaster catch-up node had just become available or active. The Grandmaster Night catch-up node has been live and is currently available for players who completed the Conqueror seal to be able to guild their seal. Yeah, weird little bug. Year 4 content vaulting. With the launch of the Witch Queen on February 22nd, certain activities, quests, destinations, and items from Season 12 through 15 in Forsaken become unavailable to access. For a full list of vaulted and depreciated content, please see our guides below at Destiny Content Vault and items being depreciated at the start of Year 5. Another kind of big information here, weapon cycling. The following weapons will be leaving the ritual rewards pools with the launch of Witch Queen on 22nd. Trials of Osiris will lose Igneous Hammer and Solar's Scar. Solar's Scar, that sword. Nightfall loses the Swarm, Shadow Prize, Uzumi RR4, and Hung Jory SR4. Iron Banner loses the Multi-Mock CCX, Time-Worn Spire, Guiding Sight, and Steady Hand. Players should make sure to claim all engrams and other rewards before the new season begins. Any rewards not claimed from Ritual Thunders, Zavala, Shax, Drifter, and Saint 14 will be removed at the end of the season. Known issues. Apparently the only known issue currently is weapons do not successfully attach to Phoenix Protocol when stowed. What the hell does that even mean? But we finally hit Movie of the Week. Moving past that into Artist of the Week. Jesus Christ, did you draw that? That's amazing. That's impressive. Alright. Well, you've made it. Once again, a mega TWAB has landed, and you've read every word of it. Maybe almost every word. I know if some of you skipped the outros. I skipped the media stuff. Between now and launch, we have a few more little things to cover in TWABs, but we aren't expecting anything as long as this edition. Yo, you're telling me the Gambit one's not going to be longer than this? They don't care about Gambit anymore. These next few weeks will be your opportunity to rest up before the launch of our next expansion. Get some sleep, eat well, maybe even soak in some sunlight if the weather permits. You know, who goes out in the sun, am I right? Of course, you're going to maintain a healthy lifestyle after February 22nd, right? Oh, hell no, I took the week off. I'm going to sit in this chair all day long, or all week long. There won't be any moments where you think I'll do the dishes later on, or I guess I can take the trash out next week while leveling up your brand new, freshly crafted weapons. That's exactly what's going to happen. On a final somber note, before we go, we'd like to take a moment to honor one of our moderators. We received tragic news over the weekend that Sepharum Crypto, I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly, one of our German community volunteers passed away. Words are incredibly difficult to find here. I'm going to call him Crypto. Crypto has been among the Destiny community since the start, pitching in to help anyone who needed an assist, or simply sitting back and relaxing among our forums to pass the time. We'd met him in person on his own home turf when visiting Germany for Gamescom, and even had him come out to Seattle to help us with a community summit. Every exchange was positive, inspiring, and heartfelt. His love for this community was immeasurable. You could tell with every exchange how wonderful, unique, and passionate he was, and how much of an inspiration he could be, not only to us at Bungie, but to players of our worldwide community. Thank you for everything, Crypto. You are loved. You are missed. We hope you're able to rest well. We are sending much of our love to your family. Much love, DMG. If you guys are still here, that was a very, very, very long TWAB as we just kind of cycle through all that again. Let's get an image to end on here. I'm going to click on... Is that a good one? No, they're holding glaives. I mean, yeah, glaives are cool. We're just going to end it up the top here because I like the Titan holding that bow. It looks cool. That's all we have for this TWAB. If you guys made it the whole way to the end, which I don't think anybody would, as we're reaching an hour-long TWAB. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, head on over to the Twitter. You can ask me, ask DMG, ask Cosmo, ask Hippie. Whatever you want to do over there. But until next time, Guardians, stay safe,